What's going on, everyone? We're here with Sister Krystal Muhammad of the new Black Panther Party and
Sallah Hudeen, National Spokesman of the Black Panther Party.
And I know some of you may know who's on the screen as well. Now, what's your name again?
Gabriella.
Everybody know who Miss Gabriella is. What's Gabriella? Come on now, you got to do better than that. Don't be shy.
I'm not shy, but okay.
Look, everybody know how I do things, so you know how it goes. Miss Gabriella been on the show many times. I mean, some of you probably have talked with her as well, so she's the same person. So, Sister Krystal, thank you for doing an interview with us. Let people know who you are and actually how you got started within the movement.
I'm Krystal Muhammad. I'm actually the national chair of the new Black Panther Party for self-defense. I was voted in to be national chair in November of 2013. Prior to being the national chair, I served as the Houston chair for 13 years. I also served as the Southwest Regional Rep of the new Black Panther Party for 10 years. Even before becoming a Panther, however, I've been involved in the movement over 25 years now. I got involved at age 19 doing death penalty abolition work. In fact, the case that we were working on became an international case about the death penalty. It was for Shaka Sankofa. Everybody knew him as Gary Graham, but we recognized him as Shaka Sankofa because that was the name he chose. So doing death penalty abolition work, it let me look into the system of global white supremacy and dealing from death penalty abolition work to prison abolition work to human rights, dealing with so much injustice in the South. And we say the South, just like Malcolm says, anywhere south of Canada, because this whole country that we live in is in fact racist. And being a revolutionary, always being on the forefront, I was brought into the party in 2002. And I was immediately thrust into a leadership position as chair. So I was able to deal with a lot of the issues going on in our community here in Houston. But the party is a national, in fact, an international organization. So we have, the party has regions, and we're part of, being in Texas, we're part of the southern region. The southern region includes Texas, Louisiana, Mississippi, Alabama, and Oklahoma. In Arkansas. And once I became Southern Regional Rep, my work and our work as a party, we were dealing with issues around the region. Mm-hmm. You know, injustice, racism in Louisiana, Mississippi, Arkansas, Alabama, Oklahoma, and it was basically the same stuff, different city. And of course, but by the fact that our organization is a national organization, there was instances where other regions, we all came together and deal with racism and injustice across this country. So our organization, the new Black Panther Party for self-defense, we are a black liberation formation. And our overall objective is black liberation, that is. We are a black nationalist, Pan-African revolutionary formation. And the reason why I'm making that distinction is because by us being black nationalists, what that means is that we're for the total upliftment, self-sufficiency, self-reliance, and self-defense of all black people in this country. And by us being Pan-Africanists, we're for the upliftment, self-sufficiency, self-defense, and liberation of all black people across the globe. Doesn't matter where we're at. And also, we're revolutionary, because there are many black nationalist organizations that are not necessarily revolutionary. They might be reformist, you know. And we are one of the only few formations, the Panther Party and the new Black Panther Party, that are actually revolutionary, meaning that we not only feed the people and clothe the people and educate our people, but we also arm our people and prepare our people for defending themselves and prepare our people for the time we are actually going to be self-governed, have our own nation, and protect our nation. And so that's in a nutshell what attracted me to the party in the first place, you know, because of the fact that it was so well-rounded. It's not a religion. We have people in here of many religions. You know, we respect all religions. You know, like Malcolm said, we don't even much get into debates about that because, you know, that's irrelevant at this time. We try to get everybody to unite on one thing, black liberation. And whatever your religion is, that's between you and the Creator. You know, we respect that. But a lot of our people have been so indoctrinated and so focused on our differences and can't unite on just one simple thing, us actually being truly liberated. Because as it stands, and as we were speaking about earlier, we're currently in bondage. We have never gotten out of the rulership of the people that enslaved our ancestors. You know, and that's why we are saying, and that is why our main objective is black liberation.
Okay. Brother, actually, same question. What got you involved in the movement?
I've been in the movement. Actually, I met Sister. We are both former active members of the Nation of Islam under the leadership of the Honorable Farrakhan. Wow, where do I start? I've been in the movement a long time. I originally came to the movement after hearing Minister Farrakhan I believe it was at one of the stadiums he spoke at, and I actually joined in 2001. After hearing him, of course, I made it through the ranks of the Nation of Islam. I was a lieutenant under the leadership of the Honorable Farrakhan. At that time, I was already revolutionary, but even sitting inside the mosque, I knew that my work needed to be more on the outside, and out of respect for the rules and regulations of the FOI, I chose to take what I've learned through the nation and bring it to the streets on a different level. Now, I speak on the nation, but we are allies with our brother. One of the things that we teach as one of our non-local objectives is to build a Black Power movement. So in order to build a Black Power movement, we have to be allies with all the organizations concerning our liberation. So we're not divided, because you have those who say, hey, you're this type of Muslim, you're this type of Christian, you're this type. We're not into dividing. We're into building a solid Black Power movement. So I started back in 2001. I officially came to the new Black Panther Party 2013, I believe, 2013. And I came in, the sister kind of coached me along. I mean, we kind of knew each other from the street level and through the music industry, and I fell right in. So I would say 2013 I officially came in. Later on, rising through the ranks, became the local chair for the Houston chapter. Also, in addition to that, I am the national spokesman representing our chairman. I want that to be clear. There's only one chairman in the new Black Panther Party. Our chairman is Sister Krystal Muhammad, Black Power.
Brother, when you joined this chapter, how did you feel when you seen Sister Krystal as being in leadership? Because some of our brothers have an issue with women being in powerful leadership positions.
I was actually, I guess it kind of helped because I already knew the sister from the Nation of Islam. I knew what she was capable of doing. So it really wasn't a hard thing for me. And I tell brothers all the time that this is not a male chauvinistic organization. Mm-hmm. Why not get behind the sister? We are taught from the Nation of Islam that a nation can rise no higher than its woman. So if you don't understand the woman and her value, you don't understand yourself. So, and I'm glad you actually asked that question, because when I took over as the chapter leader, we had those who had issues with her leadership. And like I said, I mean, for instructional purposes, I won't go into it, but me personally, I did not have an issue. I still don't have an issue. This sister has proven over and over again to be a great asset to our people. Actually, she's a one-man, one-woman army by herself, and I'm definitely honored to serve under her leadership. But I do want it to be clear that whether it's a male or female, we still are charged with responsibility to help liberate our people, no matter who the instrument that Allah chooses to use. Black power.
Now, glad he said that. Sister Krystal,
Yes, sir.
what does black power mean to you? And I'm gonna ask this question because when there are people, people of all nationalities watch the program. When they hear the term black power, they relate it to the Ku Klux Klan saying white power, burning down buildings, lynching black people. And then when you say black power, they say, oh, well, you just like the Ku Klux Klan, and you are a quote-unquote black supremacist, and you just wanted to kill everybody too, just like the Klan. So can you explain what's the difference with you saying black power versus the Ku Klux Klan's version of saying white power?
Okay, two different questions. First of all, black power goes back to what I said earlier, black nationalism, Pan-Africanism. Everybody and everything on the earth is nationalist. Ants are for ant power, whites are for white power, Mexicans are for Mexican power. You know, whites just say it in a matter of, with the Klan to intimidate the system of white supremacy and to boast of the fact that they believe that they are superior. On the contrary, it is an absolute fact that you've never known anybody of a Black Panther formation in any black liberation movement to go around lynching, burning down houses, terrorizing people, any of the bestial activities that the Klan and these other white supremacist groups do. The system of white supremacy was built on our enslavement and captivity, and it currently stands based on the fact that we are still in captivity. So when they say white power, they're trying to maintain and bolster their stand as being a people and a system that's been based on the oppression of black people for the most part, and any other hue that comes lesser than white. The Asian people are for Asian power, Indian people are for Indian power. It's only natural to be for your own kind. We're the only people that's been turned inside out and made to feel ashamed to be proud of who we are and who our nation is. You don't see Asians coming to black people for jobs, or Mexicans, or whites. They provide for their own. They provide for their own kind in every shape, form, and manner. We're the only ones that that come under attack for even teaching our people to have self-reliance, self-defense, self-pride. Because in order for white supremacy to exist, there has to be the oppression of black. It's a universal fact. You don't even get white until you strip down black. Everything comes from black. Everything. Black is not a color, it's the essence. When you start stripping down black, you're gonna get the other colors of the hue, purple, green, yellow. So you have no more hue, you got white. Represents the opposite extreme. So just how they use extreme racism, wickedness to maintain their system, we're the exact opposite. We use extreme love, strength, understanding to bring our people back into who we are. See, there's a war, that's been going on our people. From the first moment they started kidnapping us. We were talking about earlier about all of the values and jewels and resources of Africa, but we're the main jewel. This black skin, it's got gold and diamond and platinum in it. We're the real resource, So black power is an antidote for white supremacy. It is a uniting rally call for our people to have pride in who we are, to stand up against oppression, which is the only natural thing that people in their right mind would do. Everything on the earth, dogs are for dogs. You don't see dogs getting into going and protecting cats. You know what I'm saying? That's natural of anything that's living, is to have pride and protect and provide for your own. We the only ones been turned inside out to where if we say, oh, black is beautiful, you know. It was actually in the time in the 60s and 70s when people saying, say it loud, I'm black and I'm proud. You'll have some cool Negro over there talking about, you know, I'm not gonna say that. You know, same way like with, you know, a black person having a problem with us saying black power. Black power is just as black is the essence of everything. That's what blackness is. We are the original people of this planet.
Correct.
The original people. You know what I'm saying? We are a people that have went through something that not no soul on this earth has went through. And we, even as wild and crazy as we are, we are the most powerful and dynamic. It has never been a people that went through what we went through, and we still just 100 years from slavery, sitting here at the table, talking to each other about how to even get even greater and stronger. That's black power. Power, you know, power is what, force and energy, or whatever. I'm not, whatever scientific term, don't get me wrong, but it's actually asserting that the fact and actualizing of what it is that we say we are. We are gods, the original people. Regardless of what religion you're from, you have to know that there was something that was here before us. And the oldest species on the planet has been documented is black people. They found a black woman 4 million years old in Ethiopia. So that means we are a people that's 1 million years old. In Louisiana, they got mounds that's 9,000 years old, what black people built. In Kemet, they got pyramids that's 10,000, 9,000 that black people built. So it's nothing wrong with that. That is the natural way. Black power is the cure for not only white supremacy, black inferiority complex, but it's absolutely necessary mind state and ideology and everything that comes with it for us to get out of bondage, which I can explain that more. And to actually be a liberated, emancipated people, we have to exercise that. It doesn't matter if it's media people, if it's doctors, if it's brothers and sisters on the street. When we have a collective understanding and respect for black power, our problems will cure overnight. Once we start embracing black power, that has nothing to do with hating anybody. The only thing we hate, I'm gonna speak for myself, and the only thing we hate, speaking for myself, and to be honest, as we say as the people, we hate injustice. We hate oppression. We hate exploitation. We hate wickedness. But we love black people. You know what I'm saying? And just be honest, black people, we love everybody, even our oppressor. So the black power, we not nowhere in the category of the Ku Klux Klan with white supremacy. That's just a mind game. You know what I'm saying? That's just a mind game. You know, we're the polar opposite. Our motivation is for freedom, justice, equality. That's the polar opposite of white supremacy and the Klan. They are the original terrorists, the original slaughterers, the original hate mongers. So just as there's a polar opposite of white to black, black power is that antidote, you know what I'm saying, to white supremacy. It's that antidote.
And the reason why everyone I asked her that question is because there's a narrative to say, well, it means the same thing, but you have to understand something. No group they consider a hate group or whatever is in the black have never been convicted of bombing a white person's church, but the Ku Klux Klan have done that to black people. They haven't lynched white people at all. They haven't been convicted of a bunch of hate crimes, because if they were, we probably wouldn't be having this conversation. But the groups that we have within the black community, they're trying to help out, because really we do suffer from Stockholm Syndrome. We really do, in a lot of ways, and that's what causes a lot of our problems.
So sister, when you said that we're still in bondage, what do you mean by that?
Okay, what I mean by that is this is something that has to be politicized and understood what happened to us. Okay, first of all, Black people were the indigenous people on this land. If you look at the so-called natives, they look like us. This whole, so when they came, you can't enslave a people that's already free. So they had to slaughter the indigenous people that were here. Just like now, there's no way in the world they can come and enslave us right now in this room. Us four of us, without understanding, we'll just die first. So the people that were indigenous here were slaughtered. The transatlantic slave process, even when they started kidnapping our people from the continent, they didn't just go and grab everybody at one time. It was a period of centuries of kidnapping people one by one. Like a prophet, like a hunt, like how hunters go and hunt deer. This was a system. And then even then, they couldn't bring our ancestors from the continent here and make them come and be slaves. That's why they had a middle passage where they took the children and bought the children and raised them to be like, you're nothing, you're a child, you're nothing. You do what I say. All of the negative things that they said to us. That's how we got even to this point. Okay, but there's always been people who resisted throughout this process. So a lot of times when they got to the Caribbean islands, like the Maroons and when they got here, people escaped and set up their own colonies and nations and things, because we built we created everything. We created, electricity, water. In the pyramids, they had plumbing. Even in the mountains, they found losing, they had plumbing. We created everything already. We already could make anything. We created math, science. So here we are, people that's that brilliant, that can create everything, but we are still under the rulership and governance of the people that enslaved us. Why is that? Because there was a battle going on, there was a war going on. So when people started uprising in the 1800s, and people like Nat Turner, Denmark Vesey, Toussaint Louverture, just start naming, there was uprisings going on all across this country. That's what stopped slavery. It wasn't no Martin Luther, Abraham Lincoln. The uprisings were taking place to the extent that out of absolute fear of their annihilation, they put together this illusion. And it was also set in place during chattel slavery because they had the system of house niggas, field niggas, yard niggas. So the field hands were subject to the most worst brutality. Those were the ones 99% of the time that was doing the uprisings. The yard Negroes were pretty much like what we're dealing with now, the petty bourgeois Negroes who sell out the field Negroes because they want to get in the house. The house Negroes, like Malcolm said, you sick master, we sick master, they did everything they could to stay in the house. So what they did, when the uprising started taking place, they created a mass house nigga movement to stop the uprisings. Okay, we're not gonna have y'all in chattel slavery unless you commit a crime. See, slavery, there was never anything that said, the slavery ends, no. The 13th Amendment said you cannot be made a slave or an indentured servant unless you commit a crime. Okay, so immediately after that, that's when the Klan came about. And that's when the police became, instead of catching slaves, became the city guard. The slave patrol, instead of being the slave patrol, they became police officers. And they created economic condition because that's when they came up with the black codes. The Klan, black clothes, lynching, convict leasing all started in the 1860s. Because now, we're not gonna make you a slave unless you commit a crime. So they created the economic conditions with the black code to make crime. Under the black codes, it was illegal for a black person to own land, get married, for somebody to hire you. Anything that would allow you to be self-sufficient became illegal under the law. So then the slave catchers would come get you, or the bandits, which was like the clans, would come and get you. And in the black codes, there was a thing or something that I noted, and that's what I realized. It was a petition to the court to become a slave again. It was called manumission. And when I was studying the black codes, I said, why would somebody petition a court to become a slave again? Well, because it was now illegal for you to own property, get married, get a job. So how are you going to be self-sufficient? You done left the plantation, where even on the plantation, they gave you a shack over your head, rations in your stomach, food, rags on your back. And after chattel slavery is ended, 13th Amendment, oh, y'all free unless you commit a crime. But they created economic conditions to where crime, it was so horrific that people tried to petition themselves to be back slaves. And on top of that, the black people who went out and set up their own territory with Sherman Land Act and set up their own townships, that's when the Klan came about. To go burn down those townships, to go destroy those townships and lynch people, to terrorize. That's when the Klan came about. We never had and then 1868, 66, I don't remember years, that's when they made everybody a slave, because see, it was still uprisings. You know, people still trying to set up these independent townships. So the Congress come up with this scheme. The 14th Amendment said we're going to make them our own citizens. And it says that you are under our subject and rule. So we're not out of bondage. It goes, instead of it being Mr. Smith and Mr. Jones owning you and subject to them, no, now you're now the subject of the United States government. So they're still ruling them. So we never got out of bondage. Nobody can say you free, but I rule you. We're still in bondage. So even up until today, 150 years later, they got all these things in place to give us the illusion that we're free, but we're not. Even to today, it's a mass house Negro movement, because they got you at work 40 hours off the week, and your children, they're teaching our children 40 hours off the week. One day out the week you might spend with your family, and one day out the week, the other day out the week, most people, not all, because some people have been liberated, are worshiping Europeans in their religions. So even when we just, you know, so it is a system in place, and there were, even in, just like how we had the house niggas and yard niggas to keep us in bondage, that's what we got today. The black ruling class. They know, when these people take oaths to get these bars, they take, or to get this license, or they take an oath to be to the state. They take an oath to maintain the system. So that's why when people, you know, we have these great people to rise, Malcolm, Martin, you know, and some of them they just pop up and make. But think about this, and I'm gonna ask y'all a question. Who is the leader of white folks?
Talking about like a civil rights leader?
No, who is their leader? You know, who is the leader of white folks?
I don't really know him now.
I don't know.
Who is the leader of Mexicans?
I don't know. The only charismatic figure that I know they talk about is Cesar Chavez with the farm workers. That's the only one I remember them talking about.
But he's, you know, long past.
Yeah, he's gone. Yeah.
So that we're the only people, this just shows that we're in bondage. We're the only people where white folks say, that's y'all leader. Or somebody say, that's y'all leader. But white folks operate under the understanding of global white supremacy. So when you go in the grocery store, they walk around like, yeah, this is ours. They understand, and they stick with each other no matter what to make sure they stay in power. You go in the mall, the airport, they have an understanding. They teach that. They teach us to function and operate under white supremacy. Whenever something's done to us, oh, why did you do that to us? Stop doing that to us. Nobody does that but us. White folks and everybody else in the world resist oppression. You can't free me. Like right now, I'm sitting here in this chair, and you know what I'm saying? If you put me out this chair, I didn't free myself. Like I was sitting here stuck, couldn't get out. If I couldn't get out on my own, I didn't free myself. But if you come and pull me up, you freed me. So it's impossible for Abraham Lincoln or anybody else who oppresses the freedom. We have to liberate ourselves. Instead, we've been tricked into think, oh, y'all free now. But what has changed since slavery? We have people, what has changed since slavery? We actually worse because we think we free. We have been fed the biggest game on the planet. You know what I'm saying? And that's what I'm saying. We don't, are we teaching our own children?
No.
Are we providing food and shelter for our own people?
Nope.
If something happens to one of us, who do our people call to come and help us if we offend each other? The police, the white folks. If we get into a dispute right now over a civil matter, are we going to solve that matter amongst ourselves like every other free nation does on the planet? No, we're going to go to white folks. We still in bondage. That's the first thing, you know what I'm saying, one of the main things that we have to acknowledge. And then once we realize that, oh, our liberation is going to be a piece of cake. It's like Harriet Tubman, she said, I freed 1,000 slaves. I could have freed more if they only knew we was like, we don't know we in bondage. And even if one or two of us, even like right now, we're working up, we understand, us revolutionaries, Panthers. Most of our people don't get it. Half the time we have to, we dealing with crisis. They coming with us, you know, because this system of terrorism that started, you know, 1500, it's never stopped. So that's what I mean by we're still in bondage.
So how do we liberate ourselves then?
First of all, we have to acknowledge the fact that we're in bondage. That's first of all, because right now we're in denial. We're under a mass spell. We're under an illusion of inclusion. We're in denial. They put so much fear and terror on our people it's just like, you know, a domestic relationship. This woman is being abused by this man. So just because she put up makeup and go to work and try to function normal, she's still going home getting her butt kicked and being brutalized, and the kids seeing it. Just because she goes out in public, and that's how we are as a people. We're not even much acknowledging this. We're like, well, at least he didn't hit me today. At least he gave me something to eat. That's what a pimp do. They give you the basic necessities, or have you so codependent, or like you say, Stockholm, you take your abuser for being your provider. And just like, you know, like I said, manumission, black people actually, they created the conditions so bad. You know, laundering was illegal. So they come up with convict leasing. It was illegal with the black codes. I'm still talking about the 1860s. This is still what we live under today. That's why when black people get killed right now, it's no justice. Because that's another thing. I'm talking about this Constitution is what's keeping us in slavery. The 14th Amendment say you're now our subjects. But remember, in the beginning, they never changed the 3/5 clause. They never said, oh, we're taking they're not property. They never took that out. They just added on to it by saying you are subject. And in the Plessy versus Ferguson, the Dred Scott case, the Dred Scott case, even responded to the point that's the highest court of the land said the white man does not have to respect the whites, so the blacks are nothing but property. They don't respect us no more than this table. They might value the table because I need to set my stuff down there and eat. That's how they treat us. Well, you know, as long as I can get a use for it. But when we get slaughtered on public television, body cameras or not, we get slaughtered. Nothing done about it. Because the court, the system still says, and it's still set up that we are subjects and that we are property. We are not humans in their eyes. We're still 3/5. So we're still under the rulership of those people. And there's nothing changed. It's just that we can, you know, move around the plantation a little freer without the slave catchers catching us unless we do something to break one of their black codes. So to change that, we have to acknowledge it. Like somebody in a domestic relationship, you got to admit that you're in a domestic relationship, which we are. We're in a domestic violence, you know, with our captivity. We have to acknowledge that. And then, what do you do to get out of domestic situation or to get out of bondage? You either gonna fight that oppressor, free yourself, you know what I'm saying? But what do domestic violence people do? The woman go try to escape, he go stalk her and get her back. That's what they do. That's what happens now. So until, and only until the woman, I'm just using it as a metaphor, either beats this Negro behind or put the fear in him to back her off and get her strength to stand up, he'll keep doing it. It becomes a codependency situation. So that's what it's gonna take with us. We gotta fight our oppressor. You cannot come to a gunfight with a book. You cannot, they rule us with the gun. They patrol our community with the gun. The only reason why anybody listen to the judge in the courtroom, because the bailiff's standing there with the gun. You go into their corporate building, security down there with the gun, and the police a mile away, a minute away. We have to start arming and protecting ourselves. Once you understand that you're going to be liberated and will be liberated and have it in your mind state, then you have to defend yourself. We have to get into that. We want to just stick on reading books and talk about what happened in Egypt. We have to get them understanding that not only do we have to be liberated, that there's going to be a battle that comes with it, and once we're liberated, we have to protect ourselves. And most people are so in fear of white folks and have so much of lower esteem of ourselves, we don't think we can be free. So that's why most of these bootleg Negroes from the 1800s to now accepted some little token, and they push this propaganda, like with the civil rights movement. And still to today. They had, the Panthers back then had guns. Malcolm said separate. No, they put up these Negroes to say, let's just get along and try to work the system and get a few of us in there. And we got a job, and we went to their school. And here it is, fast forward 2015, we're in the worst condition. So we have to acknowledge it, we have to resist it, and we have to stand firm once we are free.
Okay.
So, bro, let me ask you this question.
Yes, sir.
Like we wanted to get touched at. We see the young people, Black Lives Matter, out. Some of the, obviously they're making some sort of headway because a lot of the conservatives and some racists, a lot of racists, they hate them with a passion. Usually, when you hate it with a passion, you're doing good in my eyes, because I say this: are they lying about things when they're saying it though? Then they want to bring up, what about black on black crime? I'm like, it's just crime. Those things are black on black crime. And if you look at FBI statistics, those who's complaining are arrested more and committing more crimes by FBI numbers, but then they want to, anytime you call them out on facts, they want to say, well, no, we mean per capita. No. Yeah. You are done more. It's not even enough of us to commit all the crimes. Mm-hmm. But with Black Lives Matter, we also see other groups of people joining, and they're really being loud. I've even seen a Black Lives Matter protest, just nothing but white folks, and I posted that one time. How do you feel about Black Lives Matter and other groups coming in, and it seemed like their heart's in the right place under a human rights thing? Okay, but how do your group or your opinion about that?
Me personally, I applaud all of our people who are making attempts to help us to get the picture. One of the best ways that I can answer that is through an excerpt here I mentioned earlier about to develop a Black Power movement. One of the excerpts says, we, the new Black Panther Party for Self-Defense, local chapter, really that's for all the chapters, representing the National New Black Panther Party, are currently organizing for the benefit of our people in this city, which we're demoing at around the country, region, nation, and all over the earth. So I applaud them in what they do. I mean, we all, in the church they say, well, we supposed to be going to heaven. Well, there's different ways to get to heaven. I'm from the north side of Houston. There's 3 different ways to get to the south side. The point is, get there. So in building a Black Power movement, I applaud those brothers and sisters. I'm not going to talk down against them. I applaud their effort, because those same brothers and sisters 2-3 years ago were not even thinking about movement. So now they are moving Now, it's our job and I will say this because the new Black Panthers have provided education to a lot of those brothers and sisters on the ground. You may not hear about this in the media, but during the Missouri, everything that was going on, it was the new Black Panthers on the ground organizing a lot of those initiatives. So I applaud the new Black Panthers as well, but any organization that's for the upliftment of our people. Now, we do have different strategies, but at the end of the day, we are charged with the responsibility to build a Black Power movement. And this is something that the media tends to try to separate us and say, hey, this organization is better than this organization. This Negro is better than this Negro, which also, as our chairman mentioned, it's all laced in white supremacy, the divide and conquer, the house nigga, the field nigga. It's the same mentality that we're fighting in this day and time. So to answer your question, I applaud any black movement for the liberation of our people.
But I want to know the answer to that second part of that question.
Can you ask that second part?
That second part of the question is that we see other groups of people are involved with Black Lives Matter to the point, like I stated, I posted all white march for Black Lives Matter, literally, you know, for injustice, and they got other groups outside of white, you know, Hispanic, right, Asian, Native American, and, you know, especially people of color who actually have the same story. It's just separated. But how do you feel about that when they say, well, I'm gonna join that just based on a human rights level? Because some people may say it's just wrong to have a firing squad of police on one dude that's walking away from you, or it's wrong to a dude walking away from you with a knife, you shoot him 16 times on the ground. Right. I mean, so how do you feel about that? Because there's some people, and I get messages from them, that aren't black, but they really see it as wrong, and they want to do something about it. What is your statement on that?
My statement on that, I applaud anybody that does good. But at the end of the day, our people have to understand we got to start loving us first. Mm-hmm. Now, I'm not knocking anybody that does good. Yeah, you should speak out. I think Malcolm, doing an interview, and Spike Lee kind of dealt with it a little bit on the Malcolm X movie. The Caucasian lady asked him, what can she do? His response was, and I paraphrase, you go and tell your people what they need to do. So we got to get back to black love, loving ourselves. Now, I'm not knocking others who see our plight being out there. Mm-hmm. But it's your job to let your race know what they need to be doing. We thank you for your help, but at the end of the day, our people are going to have to stand up for themselves.
So how do they do that? Instruct them how to do that if they want to know. Like, tell them what things they can do to let their people know. Because sometimes people just don't know. So education is the best way, in my opinion. So can you give it to them?
I'll give one example. Right now, word of mouth is a big thing on the college campuses. You get a lot of word out, you get a lot of good information out. I say college campuses is because a lot of these grassroots movement come from the college. They come from schools and universities. So those white folks, those whatever you are other than black, what you can do is take that information. You can come to whatever rally we allow you at, and you gather the information and speak the language to your people. But what it boils down to, when you speak the language of the people, speak to knowing our concerns. But you can't speak for us. Our levels of concerns are police brutality. How can you really talk about police brutality when you really haven't experienced it? You've only seen it now. And now you're saying, okay, yeah, that's wrong. I mentioned earlier, I applaud anyone who does good, no matter what your race. Only God knows the real understanding. Are you serious? Are you doing it to be seen? Mm-hmm. But to answer your question, what they can do, they can't do anything. I'm gonna tell you why. Because after so long, you're conditioned to believe everything that white supremacy has to offer. You can't do anything. You're going to tell your father to stop saying nigga. That's something he's going to have to stop. We don't know or then again, we do know that maybe his parents was doing the same thing. So the apple don't fall too far from the tree. So what you can do is continue to do good in your own aspect. You cannot change, I don't care if it's your father or your mother, you cannot change, although you have the desire for them to stop doing it, just simply, you can't change them. You can only do good for yourself. And then that's the way I see it. I mean, later on, I would like to just kind of touch a little bit why you can't change it, but that may be for another show. But we applaud everybody who does good. But at the end of the day, our people are going to have to stand up for themselves. Why, as our chairman mentioned, why today in 2015 we are still going to everybody but us? We keep taking the dollar out of our community when we have a brother or sister right in the community that's selling the same thing. Why are we still contributing to their programs when we have programs? But some of us, and we call them the gatekeepers, the reason they keep doing it, because they get money under the table. We just had some Negroes not too long ago who just sat down with Donald Trump. Mm-hmm. I saw the interview and some of them was really happy. One of the preachers said this was a historic moment in politics. So the first thing I thought, how much did he get paid to say that? Stevie Wonder can see that Donald Trump has neither our interest at heart.
He has nobody's interest
Any man that gets on
at all except white supremacy. I agree with that.
He is definitely operating and showboating white supremacy at its finest. So this is a thing that we try to deal with here in the new Black Panther Party. You don't have to look at them because we already know they're the enemy. Look at what your people have done. People get so surprised when they hear that black folks have created something. That shows you how bad our mind is off track. We don't believe that there were people who created energy and our people, not people, but our people who have created things. If you notice, even in our textbooks when we're coming up through high school, if they said anything about black people, it was one sentence, then the rest of the book was about Europeans conquering every goddamn thing. So we're teaching our people to love yourself first. Then maybe we'll sit down and talk to the other side. But we don't have that kind of time. And another thing too, we don't have time to hate. They try to paint the new Black Panther Party like we just a bunch of renegades just run around killing white folks. And for example, they always throw Brother Samir up as though what he said is going to affect white folks in housing. See, the difference between when they say it affects us, but when we spewing love, when we speaking from pain, this is what we're speaking from. Nothing that we say is going to affect them in housing. Nothing we say is going to affect food on their table. But when they say it affects us. Because, as the sister mentioned earlier, we have to understand that we're still in bondage. We still don't understand that. We see this as they're giving us crumbs, so I'm happy with that. I'm happy with what they give me, so leave them alone. Let's back up. No, that's not how it works, brothers. So we come under the guise of building self-determinations, teaching you that it's okay to be black. We love black. As our chairman mentioned, black is not a color, but it's the essence from which all colors evolve. Get back to loving yourself. Get back to doing for yourself. Get back to spending money amongst yourself. That's not racist. That's spewing love for your people. So to close the question out, the best thing that they can actually do is correct their own behavior, because you can't correct your father or your mother's behavior that has already, white supremacy has already been ingrained in them. The Honorable Elijah Muhammad said, and I'm starting to see this now, he said after the age of 40, you are already set in your beliefs. So how you gonna change somebody? Hopefully that answers
Yeah.
your question, Black Power.
Brother Phil, I want to add to that, because Brother Leonardo laid it down, but another element of what's taking place is co-opting of a movement. You see, that happened in the civil rights movement. And a lot of times, whenever we're doing something, I've been an activist for 25 years. We always at the forefront. It's always been whites involved in speaking out on stuff. That's nothing new. But ask yourself, you know, whenever we're at the forefront and there's a rebellion going on, that's when all these whites come out to calm down this racial aggression that is going on in this country, has been going on. It's upright, man. We have had many uprising and demonstration, and no media comes. Not one. Even as a black uprising, they will not show up because they white it out. They don't want it to spew over. So on the counter, there are organizations and formations that purpose is to, they'll come out to push white folks like they helping. But I'm gonna be honest, that situation, like when the whole Occupy movement was going on, they were saying we're the 99%. Every city we went to, especially in the South, it was mostly white folks there. They did not include black. They was talking about them. That's why they had to have people go and start Occupy the Hood. You know, because to be honest, you know, the system of global white supremacy is also not only about race, it's about class. So yeah, there's some poor or whites or other groups that see our oppression and they speak out about it. But you know what? They're not gonna defend our people to their put their life on the line. It won't happen like we will. It's good that they doing. I give them one clap. You know what I'm saying? But a lot of times that's a distraction because we lighten up on white supremacy when a few white folks come out there. That's what happened to other groups in the past. This is why we are black nationalists and Pan-Africanists. It's one of our rules. I mean, we have to build our own community. We don't have to go to the enemy again to save us. And when Katrina was going on and all kind of things was going on, they had a whites only evacuation. I'm from New Orleans, the first 5 days. All systems of government, from the military to the local police, made sure that they got white folks only out first. Then even when black people who were in the next town tried to go to the next town, that's just like us trying to go to the southwest side, because that's how small New Orleans is. They had the police with guns stopping blacks from going to the next town. The next, you know, Jefferson Parish, that's just like going to the southwest side. They had guns, they pushed, and them white liberals who would be out there at the demonstrations, you didn't hear them speaking out about that. They made sure they got on them boats and them buses and got in them hotel rooms. And then you saw black people everywhere. Same way, every time I've been in this movement a long time, whenever we are uprising, they gonna same. Look at in the past when Bobby Seals was with them other white folks, the weather group, whatever they call themselves. When Bobby Seals was in court, he spoke out. They put a ball in his mouth, taped him, gagged him to the chair, while the white boys was literally standing up on the tables in the courtroom. I mean, this is an actual fact. Look it up. Same way like with them. When the Trayvon Martin uprising was going around the country, even here in Houston, these white liberals come out to the Shape Center. They say they want to get involved. So you know what? If you really want to get involved, we're going to give you the John Brown test. See how, or it's not just in front of the camera. The John Brown test. They didn't even make it. When we said we want to do a program on white supremacy and racism, half of them left. The first meeting, when we mentioned it up, come to the next meeting, 2 of them now. So we said, okay, we would like for you to speak on white privilege. 1 left. And she was shaking to death to even speak on white privilege and never came back after that. Your enemy's children are only gonna go so far, even when they know their parents are wrong. It's always happened. And just like with the civil rights movement, when black people were saying we want equality, here come these Europeans saying we want integration. That's a total different thing. Our grandparents had all their own stuff, had their own businesses, were self-taught, doing good. And now look at us now, we are victims of integration, trying to be with the European. And now we have nothing but absorb their culture. We have a bunch of homosexuality going on. We have a bunch of lack of hate for our own self. And that's another thing these groups do. I've seen this. We're over here talking about abolition. They'll talk about abolition, and then they're talking about transgender rights. They're sliding in their own agenda. And some of these other groups, when we was out there for Sandra Bland, they did not want the civil, I don't have no problem saying this. Civil rights is not human rights. It's two different things. Human rights is international law we're born with. When we say civil rights, it puts us back in that 14th Amendment category of that stuff.
Diversionary tactics to distract us. Because when it all boils down, if we get into a war, we're gonna see who died. But matter of fact, we're not gonna even wait till we get in a war. We're gonna give you, as our chairman said, the Brown test. You've been given that test and you failed. So again, to answer your question earlier, what you can do is continue to do good for yourself. Thank you for what you do.
Exactly, because and a lot of our people get confused about that, and it's levels. So that's what brought you into the movement. Fine, no, this is not a us against them situation. What we're specifically speaking about is exposing the contradictions and also exposing the subversion. History repeats itself. There was at the time there was in the 50s and 60s, it was the Malcolm way, separate, have our own, self-sufficiency, which we saying right now, like Marcus Garvey, Pan-African black nationalism, freedom, true freedom, and then there's the civil rights. Let's assimilate, let's integrate. Let's try to make these people who enslaved us not enslave us so much. Let's put a whole bunch of incense and perfume on a pile of crap, because that's what it is. So and another thing, we are so conditioned. I can say something, this brother say something, you'll say something, you'll say something, but let the white boy say the same thing. Oh, did you hear what he said? Wow, they about to fall off their chair.
Yeah, right.
And then go right back home, go to sleep. Well, the white boy spoke out, we all right. That is subversion. So not downplaying the brothers and sisters that's truly involved in it because they want to change, but they need to be aware of the hidden hands. If an entity is founded or has any sponsorship by government, red flag. Even though they will use our young people's good energy, they will use a good cause, but be aware of subversion. Be aware of diversion. Like I said, from equality, our people with Medgar Evers and all of them, equality, to here they come about integration. That's not the same thing. And look at, we can prove that right now. No more black businesses. No more black banks. Nothing. We don't have anything of our own since integration. That was a failed experiment, a failed coup d'etat of our movement, and we're suffering from it today. That's how come we have so much mass destruction and self-destruction in our community, because we're not self-sufficient. We're not self-reliant. We're not self-dependent. And we are victims of integration. So when the same trickery comes around, we're not ashamed to say, red flag, watch it.
And then also just to capitalize on what the sister was saying, beware of trends. This is what we do. That's another thing that we're dealing with right now. Right now it's cool to be conscious. It's cool to sit here and talk about it, tweet about it, Facebook about it, but when it's time to be boots on the ground, you're nowhere to be found. As we saw, all the rappers with the Million Man March was happy to take a picture with Farrakhan. Only 4 of them showed up that we saw. So it was trending. It was cool to take a picture. It was cool to hang out, but when it's time to work and do what we're supposed to and be visible amongst your people, you run and hide. So beware of trends, beware of trends. If you're serious about this movement, if you're serious about helping our people, do that. But don't do it because, looking for something in return all the time. This is, especially the new Black Panther Party, this is a volunteer army. The payment we get is seeing that our people are free. That is the payment. Seeing that our people is free. Black Power.
All right, so, Sister Krystal, quick question. The videos that people have seen of you, and I think the one video in particular, you see with the Nathan Inner and all that, and saw you back in the background. How did that go? Because I saw you laughing with that situation. I mean, you have a history with Nathan Inner?
You know what I'm saying? I don't know him from a can of paint. What was amusing to me was there was a lot that was cut. You know what I'm saying? We have all the full footage. We caught him, we had him surrounded, so he was so arrogant, he was admitting to knowing what happened to Alfred Wright. See, the backdrop of that is Alfred Wright, a young brother, was lynched
And
mutilated. And that's what in every lynching, like they did Alfred Wright. Look at, it's a book called Thought Sanctuary. Look up lynchings. Every ritual of the lynching was to take body parts
as a prize.
That's why Alfred Wright's eyeballs were gone. His ear was cut off. His teeth was pulled off. His tongue cut off. That was a lynching that took place. And the lynching took place, bottom line is because racism exists blatantly. It's, never went away. In fact, it's even more worse now. They're more arrogant with it. They use CNN to show it, MSNBC to show it, Fox News to show it. We have shot this whole church up with kids, children, everything. And these Negroes, what they're talking about, we're gonna pray for our enemy. They make people, they take him to Burger King. They making a mockery of us because we are, the bottom line is, the reason why we still in bondage is because there's too much cowardness going on. There's too much cowardness, there's too much fear, and it's safer to be in denial. Just like the domestic situation I'm talking about. That woman did not get enough courage or strengthen herself to liberate herself. So she accepts it, she covers it up. That's what we're doing as a people. That's Alfred Wright, that video you saw with Nathan Ener. I never seen that crack a day in my life. But I do know, and we did know, that Alfred was accused, allegedly had intimate relations with Ener as well as the sheriff's daughter. And that's why Alfred was kidnapped, tortured, lynched, and mutilated. And the sheriff, Sabine County Sheriff Department, Nathan Ener, the Texas Rangers, the redneck mafia that Nathan Ener said he was a part of, the Klan, they all the same. They brothers. You know what I'm saying? It's no more than us sitting here at this table, and we got on our uniform, and they homeboys got on their uniform. Again, Al Capone protecting Frank Nitti. So when the white boy, out of all these white folks, he gonna be the big bad guy to come up and start trying to brag on it. While meanwhile, what people didn't see, the sheriff and the other sheriffs and them holding the door, scared like some church mouses, because we surrounded that whole town with armed rifles and brothers on every corner. Armed resistance. And sure enough, even to this day, they use some coon Negro to scare the people away. The Department of Justice ain't did nothing, never will do nothing. The FBI ain't did nothing, never will do nothing, because they protect their brotherhood. They honor global white supremacy. So Nathan Enert, he wanted to be their spokesman. So when we surrounded them, you know, he was bragging, but it's like agitation. He was, I can't speak for him, but what I did see is the sheriff, them holding the door. We steady telling the sheriff to bring his punk behind out. We see them holding the door. White folks on this side, black folks on that side. And this redneck want to jump up. So he got checked. Even right now, he did a video, 2 videos, threatening to, calling for Black Panthers to be attacked, had guns, never got arrested. But they just arrested a sister last week for putting up a Facebook post, a picture, talking about something about white folks' opinions or something like that. This dude did a whole video. Threats, terroristic threats, never been arrested. So, you know,
Speaking of injustice.
yeah, that's just one of many
In the
incidents.
video about Nathan Enner, and I kept saying over and over and over that, look, he's not getting arrested. But a black person just make a tweet, they getting arrested. If they make a Facebook post, if they make a video, they get arrested on the spot. And that's why I say it's 2 different rules in this country. It's two Americas. It's America for white folks. It's America for black folks. It's the truth. And the rules are different. And then when we say this, you're race baiting. How's that race baiting when it is the truth? Race baiting is making up stuff, making up lies, and it's not the truth. And we see this stuff going on every single day. And behind the scenes, a lot of people message me, write me, and they agree with me, but like you were saying, publicly you won't come out and say nothing. And that is frustrating because, like you said, walk with me and tell it like it is. I'm gonna be standing behind you like, go ahead, I'm good. I don't want to hear you. You know what I'm saying? And you know, or you saying, well, I don't agree with police brutality, but you're not, unless black folks stand up. Like some of them even tell me about that. Well, they brutalize white people too. Yeah, I've seen it. But why is it that we have to go up front first and put ourselves on the line, then you will come along with the situation? I never understood that. Because like, if we don't do it, it's not good. They want to do it, don't get me wrong. A lot of them want to, but it's like they have a fear to stand against their own system that's even probably impressing some of them. You get what I'm saying?
Right.
So it's just 2 different Americas, and until we get that illusion out of the way and understand it for what it is, I'm a realist. I get it. But using terms like, well, she's hateful, he's hateful, why would you have them on? And well, like, look, it's just a reality, period. Especially in the South, when you see some of those quote-unquote progressive states like California, will have a firing squad and gun down a man named Mario Woods. And that's a progressive, quote-unquote, progressive liberal state, California. So we have an issue.
I agree wholeheartedly, and again, as I mentioned earlier, we thank everyone who gives an honest effort, because as our chairman, everybody's not out there honest. A lot of them, in my opinion, are just trying to seize the moment. And then you have those who are actually, they feel guilty about what their own people are doing and want to help. So I can't talk against them. We appreciate anybody that does good. Our position in the new Black Panther Party is black love. When we can get back to that, then we can sit down and maybe come to an understanding with them. But right now, we are our own problem, in my opinion.
I agree.
We have gotten off the path of loving us. Your brother, your sister sells that same product. Why you still going to Whole Foods? We are right now. We're involved with a boycott right now. You can't protect our people, so why are we even spending money with you in the first place? So white folks, or should I say white supremacists, they don't understand anything but their pocketbooks. So we'll take the dollar from them. We'll finish what Martin Luther King tried tried to get accomplished, because it was never accomplished, but not in the capacity of where we have to integrate with white folks to get it done. This is not racist. This is not hateful. This is just spewing love, as we say, for our people. And to the listeners who are listening, if you ever want to understand what the Black Panther Party, talk to a Panther. Don't talk to someone who just watched a couple of videos on YouTube. This is another thing. We have to start dialoguing with one another. We see a bite, and all of a sudden, oh yeah, the whole organization is equal to the Ku Klux Klan. We are nothing like the Ku Klux Klan. We are revolutionaries. We love our people. This is a love organization. We believe in training our people for the betterment of themselves. We're not going to sit back and wait on anybody to tell us it's okay to liberate our people. We've been doing that over 400 plus years. So I wanted to put that out so the listeners will have a clear understanding about the new Black Panther Party. Don't just allow one bite to try to, determine what your view is on the entire party.
Well, see, a lot of people, and I discussed this when we're talking about integration, desegregation. That movement had nothing to do with a morality, okay? It really didn't. What it had to do with was corporate America, all top of the rich ones, wanted the black dollar, because at that time period, Jim Crow laws prevented that from happening. You had, you can't come to Macy's, you can't come to Bloomingdale's, anything else.
Right.
So when integration happened, what happened? The black dollars start flowing out of the black community, and because a lot of us have Stockholm syndrome, a lot of us feel if the white man do it, it's better than black anyway. We have to take personal responsibility on this.
Yes.
We are solely responsible why our businesses just failed, why we would provide jobs, or anything. We have to accept that, because a lot of us are still slave-minded. We gave all our money out. Now the black dollar will stay in the black community 6 hours. We have to take that responsibility. And because of the past group who wanted to just, somebody punch you in the face, you punch this side too, then you lynch our son, we'll forgive you. But if a black person say anything wrong to you, you're ready to chop their head off. That generation, we have to accept that responsibility. And then we talk about, and I said this in the video, what's going on with these younger folks is so much racism going on and killing. They're gonna do what really a lot of white communities do. They self-segregate without the law. If you have like a white neighborhood, notice something. And you start having a bunch of blacks start moving in, and Mexicans and Asians, then you know what's happening? They leave. You can see a town that's predominantly white, a minorities come in, they gone every time. They do not want to really be around us like that. And it's the truth. To me, I'll tell people I'm a realist. And facts back up anything that I am telling you. But if black people say, well, let's fix our problems, let's fix our issues. If you say, well, let's love black people, let's do right by black people, get off of welfare, because welfare is the biggest form of slavery that black people are enslaved to, and I'm sick of it. Because I was
really, it's white folks who they don't say this.
Oh, I know they're on welfare way more than we are, but
Okay.
that's not the issue. That's not the issue for me. Who's on it more, who's on it less. I'm talking about our dependence on welfare.
Yeah. And
I wish they cut that welfare off today.
Okay, look. The biggest form of slavery is working for white folks.
Period.
It's the exact opposite. The poor are being scapegoated. The fact that you go to work for somebody else is slavery.
I agree.
Period. If you taking your children and dropping them off to white folks to educate them, that's slavery. And when you drop them off, you go to the plantation. You're not picking cotton, you typing, you flipping cotton. We are all in bondage. It is not a hierarchy of oppression in this situation, because we are all oppressed. See, you go to work and you work and they take 30% of your money every day, tax. You don't got no say so in that. And the other 70% you got left, you're gonna pay that back to them. Because you are not providing your own housing. We all in bondage. We are in no better condition if you got a PhD and live in $1 million house than somebody with no degree in the projects on welfare. Because we are all subject to white folk. In fact, the person who is in the most downtrodden and poorest is in a more vulnerable state, and it's been generations and generations of this, because since 1865, they created also convict leasing. Because once you get convicted, you have no more rights, state property. So then you become disenfranchised. You had a felony, you can't work here. You had a felony before, do your son have a felony, you can't get assistance. Poverty. It's more white people on welfare than blacks. And also entitlements. There are other entitlements that Europeans and other people get. In fact, you go try to start you a business and you go to this bank, you still going to white folks for it. And it's already been a fact and always still been a fact. It's never changed. That 99% of the time when a black person tries to go, they deny him. And they switched it, in addition to that, to not be blatantly racist with this situation about credit, because that's classism. So America has always been America. It's never changed. It's always been about, it was born on slaughter, murder, slavery. It is still exists on slaughter, murder, slavery. It has not changed. It's just more people are in the house. And the people that's in the field is in the field. If you don't, even right now, if you don't look a certain way or talk a certain way, they're not even gonna let you in the door. If you don't assimilate and talk as if you're non-threatening to Europeans, you're not even getting in the house. Black people, you know, black people talk different around each other than when they get around white people. Just a fact. We bilingual that way.
You was mentioning black, businesses. That's one of the biggest things. It's a fact that stop blacks from actually opening businesses is getting the capital to do it. Because then you say, okay, well, maybe I can start a crowdfunding. We can't even do crowdfunding because then you know how it is. If you mess up, it messes up for me. I don't know where that come from. Why is it that what he do affects me, but if anybody else do it, oh, it's just them, they're individual. And that gets me upset because if I come up to them and say, listen, we've done the math. We need about $200,000 to get this studio to have it, mainstream media, everything. We could hire people to do all this other stuff. Why you need that? Why you need that kind of money? But I seen it when if a white person needs it, they people support them. Mm-hmm. Even through crowdfunding, they'll support them. That's why I don't knock them on something.
They try to justify the BS. Man, this brother here has a program designed to help us. He has a blueprint of a studio. We need $200,000. Instead of supporting the brother, you find every loophole. Why do I need to support you? Why do you need this amount of money? But the devil can bring you that same concept. Matter of fact, in a lot of cases, he has stolen the concept from one of us and repackage it and give it back to us. Oh yeah, yes sir, how much do I need to give to support you? It goes back to black love. I have to use this again because this is what we were taught in the nation. The Honorable Elijah Muhammad said that we love the white man because he gives us nothing. We love him that much. No matter what he does, we still love him. That's conditioning. Believe it this way. As Dr. Collins would say, angel food cake is white, devil food cake is black. The whole analogy of the pool ball, we knocking the hell out of all the other balls of color. That shows you how deep white supremacy runs, all the way down to a game. So, yeah, I mean, our people, we got to get back to being honest with ourselves. Sister taught a little bit on illusions. We honestly believe that we're doing good. Because we have been allowed to come inside the house instead of looking at the fact that collectively we can become the nation that we already are. See, we already a nation, we just scattered. So I definitely...
Brother, so you anything you want to say before we close out the interview?
Yes, sir. I just want the audience to have a clear understanding what our duties are as Panthers, and number one, spiritually, culturally, and politically conscious, to be respectful, to be militant, to be humble and disciplined, willing to sacrifice our law and personal desires for the great cause of the mission.